Corey and Joe with you over at CrossFit Aggregate. Our plan is for this to be the first video we actually post to the public. With that, and with the fact we have a lot more new members that maybe aren't familiar with us or how we got into CrossFit, kind of thought we'd just give an overview of who we are and kind of see where this goes. So
we'll try to keep it as PG-13 as possible.
Yeah. We both got some dark spots in our life. And, if we don't give a lot of details, it's not because we're ashamed or anything like that, or we're afraid to have those conversations.
Time crunch.
And,
I'd say we're both pretty open about everything.
Yeah.
So if there's anything, you might not even want to know, but we'll tell you. But if there's anything in the video that you want more details or questions answered, I'd say don't be afraid to reach out.
Yeah. Happily go into more in depth, whether it's another video or whether it's just talking to you personally and letting you know.
Cognac.
So Corey, let's hear about you first. Because we know I'll talk all day.
I would say, how deep back are you planning on going before we get started?
I mean, it's kind of just an overview of you. I was going to kind of talk about how I got into fitness, what my life was like before. Yeah, probably a little bit of the emotional struggles that I go with, and how fitness helps me.
I would say basically to get into how I got into fitness, you got just a quick overview of growing up. I was not, and I've told people this, and I'll have to get photo evidence. I was not an athletic kid or a strong kid or a fit kid. I was always the hefty boy, the chubby kid that swam with his shirt on, was scared to take my shirt off, got picked on, got made fun of for it. So I feel like that had a pretty big impact on other decisions that were made a little bit later. Yeah. Through high school, got involved with some shady people doing some shady stuff, heavily into drugs and alcohol. And from there, I kind of lost control of everything, spiraled hard, spiraled down. I remember I got sent to St. Louis for drug and alcohol rehab. And while I was there, one of the dudes I was living with was like, "Hey, we're gonna go to the gym." And at the time, we both smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day and just slammed energy drinks like they were going out of style. So I was like, why would we want to do that? Why would I want to go? Because in gym class you hated it, but you had to take it. My fastest mile, I think through school was 10:45. So I was like, why would we willingly go sweat and do this? But he forced me to go, and we did bicep curls and bench press. I think we did that for 3 hours. And when I left, I was like, actually, I don't feel terrible. That was kind of nice. I think I was sore for 3 months afterwards, but there was kind of something to that. So it didn't really, I didn't really stick with it too much until I got back home, got in some more trouble, decided I kind of got to get things together. Was still smoking and drinking all the time, kind of, I guess, got my drug habits, I don't want to say under control. Yeah. I calmed down a little bit. Still did them, but got them under control, we'll say. And then started kind of working out regularly, doing my bodybuilding splits. Monday, Universal Chest Day. I think we do chest and triceps. Not biceps, because you wanted to blow out your triceps, because if you did, you'd use all chest. Yeah. Science. From there, tried every stinking diet you could ever imagine. One of the guys I'd be working out with would be like, "Oh yeah, if you just eat mashed potatoes, you'll get huge." Yeah. So I was like, well, I guess I'm only eating mashed potatoes. And eventually, after way too long of that, I kind of got bored of it. Mm-hmm. So I started training in I was like, running will help, because I always wanted abs. Yeah. That was my main goal. Always wanted abs. So I was like, well, I've got to run, because running will get you abs. Mm-hmm. So I started running, got into, I think I saw a video on Spartan racing or Tough Mudder or something like that. So I was like, well, I'll do one of those. Mm-hmm. Then I'll get abs. So I got pretty heavy into like Spartan racing and running and doing CrossFit-esque things. We'll say like, I do my burpees, I do my running and box jumps and all this. I do cross training. And after a while of that, like I would do these really long, like 2-hour workouts. And a lady at the gym I used to work at years ago said, have you ever tried CrossFit? And I had heard of it, but everything I heard about it was like shoulder injuries or this or that. So I was like, yeah, that's dangerous. I'll never do that. And one day she was like, hey, we're going to go try this new workout. It's HIIT. It's a HIIT class. And I was like, oh, dope. I love high intensity intervals. So she drugged me to this CrossFit gym, and I was so mad. I was like, dude, I'm not doing this. And I almost waited in the car, but she talked to me and she's like, we're already here. It's free. Just try it. So we did it. And it was like a 9-minute workout. And I was like, these jokers cannot expect a fit guy like me to get a good workout in 9 minutes. And they even made me scale the weight. Like it was originally, I think the weight, it was like deadlifts and burpees over the bar. And the prescribed weight was 225. And they made me do 135. And I was like, these clowns don't know who I am.
Yeah.
And I remember like 4 minutes into this workout, I was like, what is happening? Because they were over my shoulder, both of them. They were on each side of my bar yelling at me. They're like, faster. And I was doing my deadlift slow, and they're like, go, go, go. And after the 9 minutes, I was like laid up on the ground for probably like a solid 15 minutes. And I was like, you know what? There might be something to this. And then after that, like, I went back to my normal training, but it wasn't the same. That seed had been planted. So there was a gym opening close to our house, and they were looking for coaches. So I applied, and man, since then it was 2017. What was it, 20 or 17.1?
Yeah.
Was like my first official CrossFit workout, and it's just been nonstop ever since.
So how heavy were you at your heaviest?
My heaviest, I was like, I think I went to the doctor and I weighed up at 295. So I was floating, and I had that realization, like the doctor was like, hey man, like this is a pretty big deal. Like, you got a couple options from here. But like, this is not where you want to be.
Yeah.
And that, like, I don't want to say it scared me, because as a kid, like, I think I was like 17, 16, 17 years old. And yeah, as a kid, you're like, well, you don't die till you get old.
Yep.
Whereas now, like, I have people I went to high school with that have some pretty serious health issues because they refuse to take care of themselves. So yeah, that was after that. And like I dropped the weight. My senior year, I think I weighed 155 pounds, but it wasn't a fitness drop. It was pretty heavy drug induced drop. And I wasn't strong or healthy. It was, I looked pretty sick. Yeah. Pretty messed up.
Yep.
Well, how'd you?
So my there's some parallels. I honestly,
similarities.
Yeah. I grew up as a very skinny kid. I had a food phobia due to a traumatic throat surgery, and I was a big baby. I was 10 pounds 10 ounces, and when I was 12, I think I was 50 pounds.
Oh wow.
I ate like 4 different foods, and just had a really unhealthy relationship with probably everything. Parents got divorced, and I got introduced to some new people that I wanted to impress, stepbrothers and sisters, and that kind of helped repair my food journey. But I was always still very, very light. I think I was probably 120 pounds in high school.
Oh wow! I think I had like a leg that weighed that in high school.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say I really did fitness or anything like that in high school or anything. I remember I was in science class with stud high school baseball player and football player, and Jake Whitesides. If you see this, you were probably the first person that turned me on to fitness. But I asked how you got your arms so big and were in shape, and he said push-ups. And he said I start with 40 push-ups a night and just do them. And to this day, I love push-ups. I'm really good at push-ups.
I'd say the best at push-ups.
And, you know, that was really my first, like, following a plan, which wasn't a plan. It was just real simple. It was that first
40
step.
push-ups a day.
But the hardest step was the first step. And, you know, I stayed in shape. I didn't know what I was doing. I was, you know, doing the bodybuilding thing. And every day was chest day. You know, I followed splits. I've looked back at a picture of myself. I threw a frisbee with my right hand, and I tore my left shoulder. And it was because my pecs were so much more developed than my shoulder that I created so much force with the throw that my pec literally tore my shoulder. And
I don't want to throw shade, but like, was this disc golf?
Yeah. So the one and only time I've ever played disc golf. I did not want to play. My wife was like, "Oh, my friend," or she was out of town. I was in Texas living with her with a suspended license because alcohol abuse. So I couldn't go anywhere. She was like, "I'm sending my friends to come pick you up, and they're going to take you disc golf." And I was like, "I'm sorry, did you say golf or did you say disc golf?" Because I'm a golfer. Was a golfer.
I feel like you can't like both.
And they're like, it's fun. And I'm like, whatever. And so we went, you know, smoked a little weed. And, yeah, I think it was like hole 3, which I don't know why they call them holes because there's no hole.
I'll say they're like baskets. Yeah, it should be basket 3. If anyone out there disc golfs, vote to change that.
And I threw it and felt it instantly and just walked around the rest of the day with a beer and watched them play disc golf and went to the surgeon later and found out I needed to have shoulder surgery. And also, when I had shoulder surgery, 7 days later, I had a back surgery. I lied to both my surgeons. Jeff Parker, you may actually watch this. I know I told you it had been 2 months since my shoulder surgery. It had been 7 days. But that was the only way I could coordinate my disability with my work insurance.
Oh, my gosh.
And get them covered. So, anyways, after that, you know, I kind of fell into like P90X.
Oh yeah, like that was Beachbody, wasn't it?
The one I did was called P90X.
P90X,
but it was from the Beachbody companies. You know, I was also still going to Gold's Gym at the time, so I was hitting 2 a days. I do P90X with my wife, and then in the morning I do my bodybuilding splits. And I was in pretty good shape. You know, I got up to like 160. You know, I was probably around 20% body fat or whatever, but I felt pretty good aesthetically. I still had a poor relationship with alcohol and food. And, you know, that is what it was. And I got introduced to CrossFit and was watching ESPN2 and I saw these women doing these amazing things. And I thought, I have to do this. This is the thing I've been missing.
What do you remember what year you saw that?
So I would have started my first class sometime in 2012. Okay. So it was probably the 2011, 2010 CrossFit Games.
That might have been the same. I saw it on TV once.
I just saw them pulling sleds with ropes and climbing and flipping objects over, and I was trying to remember, so much weight, and I was just like, this is incredible.
Yeah, I saw that they were doing handstand push-ups on rings.
Yeah.
But they made it look so easy that I was like, well, I could definitely do that.
Yeah, I could definitely do that.
I've been doing this for a while. I still can't.
And I'm living in Austin, Texas at the time, and this magazine it was like a zip code newsletter, and Brody Park CrossFit, which unfortunately is now closed. I think they closed about 2 years ago. Was running free Saturday classes. I was like, all right, I'll go up there. And I go and I'm doing the workout. I don't remember too much about it, except for it had wall balls, and I got absolutely destroyed. There's no
common theme.
There's no way yelling in my face. Everybody was nice. You know, they were a new gym, and I was new to it. And there was running, there was wall balls, there might have been box jumps. I'm not really for sure. And I absolutely loved it. Fortunately, there was zero chance I could afford it.
You got absolutely destroyed.
Yep.
And then you kind of had a similar reaction that I had, where I was like, man, I need to do this again.
I thought I was something, and CrossFit told me unequivocally I was not what I thought.
It absolutely, and
I'll tell you to this day, CrossFit still tells me that.
It still does that.
And I know that when we're sitting here and saying that it destroyed us, it may scare people off from starting because they're like, oh, I can't afford to get destroyed. CrossFit and the way that it's applied and taught by those here is different. You are absolutely going to have a reaction to what your first class is. It's going to be different than what you've done, undoubtedly. But when we started, it was in the very early days.
It was early. It was raw. Like, I don't know how to explain it other than just like raw.
Yeah.
It was raw CrossFit. There
was just less knowledge about things happening. And also, I'll just be real. You heard Corey and I both say basically we had egos when we went to our first class.
Oh yeah, I went in there, and I think, and maybe I'm thinking of a different time you went in, but I think your first time, wasn't it all like, it was all women?
There was, and I've told the story, and it was a bunch of women, and I just thought, okay, maybe this isn't like, and I don't want to. They weren't the women I'd seen on TV.
Right, and mine was the same thing. I think I was the only guy in the class I went to, which, you know, I was kind of like I was puffed up.
And there might have been a couple other guys, but aesthetically, I looked better than them. I thought, yeah, I'm fine.
And I was like, man, you're like, oh, I do this, that, and this. Like, I'm gonna crush this.
And I got absolutely destroyed. And and it's one of those things where I may have gone with all the weights on the board, and they may have all scaled it because they were smarter and they knew what to do. But once the time goes, you're no longer concerned with who has a 20-pound wall ball and who has a 10-pound wall ball.
You're all in the same field.
If you're competitive or whatever, you're just wanting to go and win. And I didn't win, and I went home, and the next day we had like gardening, and I could not de-weed. And I was like, well, I guess CrossFit isn't for you. And I was like, oh, I love it. I got to find a way to go back.
I got to do it again.
Like I said, unfortunately at the time I didn't have the finances. I kept going to their Saturday class. Greatly appreciate the fact that they continued to leave that open so I could continue to drop in. They eventually launched a class that was called CrossFight. So it was body weight CrossFit movements and some kickboxing. And then they even launched a Groupon on that. So I think I was able to buy like a month for like $40 or $50. And eventually, I got a new job and I joined. And I was really only a member of the gym for like 6 months until I went to the home gym route. Home gym, it wasn't there for me. My wife said she was going to work out with me. Conflicting schedules, 2 young kids, her never going to the gym and falling in love with the community.
Yeah.
And the push made it hard for her to then join when it was just me, and I couldn't be the energy bearer there. I was just trying to get through it. 2016 got wildly unhealthy. I was working out of town, 100-hour weeks. I'll spare you all the details there, but it culminated with a lot of different ER visits and injuries.
And you gained a pretty significant amount of weight too, didn't you?
I went up to 225 pounds. I'm probably about 170 right now. Smoking, drinking. I won't lie, I still have an issue with alcohol. I honestly had been really good for 2 to 3 weeks, only drinking on Saturday. Got some news on Monday, and I've drank every day since, and I'm still a work in process as well, and trying to change my relationship with that. And while 2016 was a horrible fitness year, it was also a horrible emotional year. I think probably one of the biggest, because I already knew about CrossFit. I was already trying to do it. But 2 people really kind of changed the direction that year, and that was my buddy Joshua Zaworski, who was working on one of the jobs with me, and we started building out a plan to open our own gym. He lived in Cleveland, I live in Columbia, Missouri, and we thought, well, one of our wives will move. We developed the plan, we had the research, we had the proposal for each city, and both of our wives said, great idea, not moving. I went forward with it. He did not. And then I also started therapy with Nicole Cronk-Stasny. She's a therapist here in town. She's also a CrossFitter. And she changed my relationship with people, with myself, and really put me in a much healthier place. And so while aesthetically I had looked good, I was not good on the inside. My blood work wasn't good. My relationship with food, drugs, alcohol, people wasn't good, and at that time, fitness was a mask to hide behind, and now fitness is an expression of who I am, inside and outside, and that's credit to the people around me, but also credit to myself for the work I did to get through that. I had hurt a lot of people in my life, family and friends, and myself, and I wasn't the husband or father that was necessary to be. And damn sure, if I can leave my house, I can't lead a gym full of people, right? So those two people get a huge credit. Also can't tell a story about opening the gym without talking about my wife. Was making six figures a year and providing us a type of life, whether it's the type of life we wanted or not. It was the type of life that we got used to. And when all this was going on, I asked her what she wanted, if she wanted money or if she wanted me, and she said she wanted me. And that was the end of me working in the corporate world and changed our lives pretty drastically. And
Do you think she'd still have that response today?
I think she'd tell me to start smaller. Or maybe that's just me saying I'd start smaller. We definitely, I dared to dream, and for the most part, it's worked out. There's been hiccups. But yeah, I definitely went from never coaching a class to being locked into a 3-year lease in a 7,500 square foot building with $100K in loans, and I had never coached a CrossFit class. I remember, kind of funny, when I was going to sign my paperwork to open the gym, another CrossFit popped up on the map in Columbia. And I was like, we just went from, 2 gyms to
I think
4 gyms.
What was it? Yeah, I think you would. It was third and fourth,
Yeah,
because you
within days.
Yeah.
And that gym was CrossFit MKT. They're still open. I think they just actually celebrated their 6 years earlier this week. CrossFit Affiliates Midwest posted about it, and I think my dot is January 3rd, so we'll hit our 6 years. But when I saw that dot come up, I just drove to that site, and they were building it out. They've changed locations, and I walk in, see a huge construction crew, just an immaculate facility.
That was when they were at the MAC, right?
Yeah. Huge, immaculate facility. This crew of 15 people working, and I'm like,
oh crap!
I'm just a dude.
I'm just one dude.
And I'm in a broke down warehouse, and yeah, I was like, so I went and didn't know him. I didn't know him at the time as the owner. I'd recognized him because he did play football here, and I was talking to the owner, and I was just like, we're talking about it. Told him I was opening my own as well. We both. I was lucky. He's like, yeah, I've been working on this plan for 5 years, and I was like, I've been working on mine for 5 months.
I guess it's better than 5 days.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, I've always been in fitness and training and doing this and everything, and I'm like, I'm an accountant.
I like to work out.
So this is certainly a passion project for me when it started, and not necessarily an intersection of previous knowledge. I have worked very hard to fix that, and continually learn, and so I'm lighthearted about where I started. I'm absolutely qualified to take care of your fitness needs, as is Corey, as is all of our coaches here. But that's how I got into it, and started doing the workouts. We've bought our programming from a lot of places. I still, will buy our programming from somebody else, so we don't get my bias in it. And like I said, we've been here 6 years and working with people, and we'd love to work with you next. And hopefully that lets you guys know a little bit about where we came from. We didn't just walk in the gym and everything was easy for us. We had a lot of work to do to get to where we're at. And I'll just honestly say, constant work. At the start of this video, I shared with Corey something that happened with me last night. Not overly proud of it, but I am proud of how I responded. The tools that I've been given, both through fitness and therapy, to work and control myself, uh, and to honestly look back and review what I did. And I think a lot of that even comes from fitness. We talk about our workouts after we're done, and it's just putting your day up for a review.
Well, it's what could I have done better?
Differently, better.
Like, how could I have handled this better? What did I do well that I should do next time? Like, it.
And again, we
Like,
talk about
it's-
that in the framework of a workout, and it sounds simple, but how you do anything is how you do everything. And if you start to reflect on your fitness, you're going to reflect on your food choices. You're going to reflect on your evening, night choices, like looking at that phone a little bit longer, or should I get
Staying
this
out
extra
late,
hour
or-
of sleep, or should I go out, or how you talk to people. Like all those things start to become reviewable once you start the process of reviewing something.
And it does have like a compounding effect. Like I remember while I was doing like all my bro stuff, like I could still go out, and drink, and smoke, and eat like crap. And I remember once I started doing more like CrossFit workouts, like you only show up to a couple workouts hungover before you realize like you go to text your buddies that you're gonna meet them, and then you kind of think like, oh well, how am I gonna feel tomorrow?
I really want to do that workout, and I want to
Yeah.
do well on it.
And I remember like the first time that kind of happened, where one of my buddies messaged me and was like, "Hey man, like we're going out to the bars, like let's go." And I actually texted him back, and I was like, "No man, I got to work out tomorrow," because I don't even remember what the workout was, but I know I was like really excited about it. So I told him, I was like, "Nah man, I'm not." And he messaged me back, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." And I was like, "Dude, I agree. I don't know why, but." And ever since then, like it's been easy to just be like, no, I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to feel like that.
Yep.
It's pretty neat. What we got this much time. Do you, in your years of CrossFit, have you found one workout that you like among all of others?
I love the workout, Cindy.
See, I hate that workout.
So my problem, I love Cindy as a person doing the workout, Cindy. I loathe the workout, Cindy,
as a coach coaching the workout.
Coaching the workout.
I see that. I feel that.
And for those of you who don't know, Cindy's 20-minute AMRAP, as many reps as possible, 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 air squats. There's no barbell. In general, what you see is a lack of integrity with movement standards. I can watch somebody squat 300 pounds and it's beautiful. I take all that weight off and ask them to do an air squat, and all of a sudden none of the points of performance matter. And again, it's that line between intensity and integrity. And you can push the intensity a bit more because there's not the weight on there. And so I don't think it's a conscious decision.
It just kind of happens.
It just kind of happens.
Yeah.
But you can fix it by making a conscious decision to go all the way. And so you do have to bring back that intensity a little bit. And I think a lot of people don't do that. And so that's frustrating. Yeah. But that's one of my favorite workouts.
Would you say that's been your favorite, like, since you've done it, or has it kind of evolved, like, what you've liked over the years?
I think I've always liked it because of P90X. We did so many pull-ups.
Yeah, push-ups.
And push-ups.
Yeah, I'd say you're just a push-up guy anyways.
And so it was really an intersection of my history of fitness applied in a new sport. So for me, it always just kind of fit. I do remember, oh man, CrossFit, right? We all get made fun of because kipping's not a real rep, which, whatever, I'm not.
That's a whole nother hour-long video.
Episode, but I could not kip to save my life when I started CrossFit. I did everything strict, and they roasted me.
They're like, bro, what are you doing?
Like, kip. And I'm like, I don't know how to kip. I just didn't. And they didn't. It's not their fault. The teaching wasn't there. And I did the foundations course and all that stuff, and they tried to teach me how to kip. I still remember some of the drills they gave me, and honestly, I still use some of them when I'm teaching athletes. But yeah, I finally figured out how to kip, and CrossFit became a lot easier. But like I was still really good at workouts with pull-ups because I just had so much grip strength.
Yeah, strict pull-ups.
And because then I didn't kip, then my heart rate didn't get up as high, and so I was able to push the run a little bit.
Just
so there was, there was drawbacks and there was, rewards. What's your workout?
And the reason I asked like how it evolved is because if you were to ask me when I started CrossFit, like favorite workout, I would almost agree. I would say like Murph, just because I love to run. I was light. I think when I started CrossFit, I was like 180 pounds. So I was light, and I was a strong guy because we used to do only strict pull-ups. We used to do a lot of push-ups. Actually, funny, not to toot my own horn, but I think I was at the CrossFit gym, and they were doing kipping. And I was like, oh, look at me, I'm a CrossFitter. And I like started doing butterfly pull-ups, and they're like, that's actually pretty good. And I was like, what? This is a thing? Turns out, like, if you do enough of them, they are woo. So yeah, I like Murph used to be like I would look for. I remember the first year I did it twice.
Yeah.
Terrible idea. Don't ever do that. But I loved it. Now, if you were to ask me, just one of the things I love about the sport, without getting too in depth and talking for a whole lot longer, is just that there are so many. There's always something to work on.
Yeah.
And my biggest weakness when I started CrossFit was the Olympic lifts, snatches, and C&Js. So I've spent a lot of time working on those movements, and I would have to say, like, beginning in CrossFit, Murph was my favorite. Now I think like I would love to do Isabel again, or even like squat Isabel. And if you don't know, it's just 30 snatches.
And if you don't know, he doesn't really like squatting that much.
I don't, but again, it's like, and I told my wife, like, one of the things like I am proud of myself about is like if there's something that I'm really bad at, usually I'm good about forcing myself to do it until I at least don't hate it.
Yeah.
Except for thrusters. I will never not hate thrusters, I don't think.
It's kind of how I feel about wall balls.
Wall balls are, yeah.
To me, wall ball, it's 20 pounds. There's no real reason to stop.
Yeah.
Except for here.
It's like 75-pound thrusters.
And I struggle. I struggle with maintaining on the wall ball. All right. Well, hopefully that gives you a little bit more insight to us and helps you. Maybe you found a part of our story that you can identify with and, start creating your own story. We'd love to help you, whether that's just answering some questions, whether that's doing your first class. I don't know. But we're here. We've been there on both sides of it. Pretty fit and pretty not fit.
Super not fit.
And we understand.
Yeah.
We can't fix everything, but we'd like to try to help with the fitness part as much as we could.
Heck yeah. Make sure to smash that like button with your face. I don't know.